Hello!
Hello.
Oh. Welcome to
Sort of the Story. I'm Janey.
I'm Max.
We've done this 20 times now.
I know! More than 20 because of that one time that we had to do the opening like 6 times.
We've done the opening like at least 26 times.
Yes.
Classic. That's a classic. Well, hello everybody. How you doing?
How's it going? That sounds fun.
Oh God. Welcome to the Dora Explorers podcast.
So welcome to the podcast. This is the podcast where we tell each other stories. And also you are
here. Yeah. Very fun. This is not for children. So if you're a child, get out.
Or just don't tell.
Don't tell children to keep
cool.
secrets. Hey, children, if you're still here, there will never be a time when an adult tells you to keep a secret, and that's okay. And parents, stop telling your kids to keep secrets from the other parents. It sends mixed messages. And that's been parenting with Janey, who's single and has no children.
So this week, as promised, we are doing stories from mythology.
Mythology.
Mm-hmm.
I am fucking pumped about this. So
I'm really excited.
Do you want?
Yeah, because we've kind of tried to avoid things that fit into like larger mythologies, like like the Norse pantheon, Greek and Roman pantheon, stuff like that, where there are larger stories that things are components of.
I will also say, like, you've peppered in some mythology, like you did the Mexican goddess of magic, who's badass.
Love her.
I think it's mainly, like, the super popular ones is, like, let's save that the same way we did, like, the princess stories, let's just save those ones for very special episodes. We can give you a message, and the message is, don't smoke weed.
Why is that the message?
I don't know. That's every sitcom in the 90s, the very special episode was always, like, don't smoke weed. And everyone was always like, there's always like a dark figure you've never met before who offers you weed and they hold it like underhand and they're like, you want a joint? And that was a very special episode. No?
No. I do remember in Osmosis Jones. A show that I watched religiously.
Was it a show? I only watched the movie. Okay, well, I'm a lot older than Max and wiser. I'm basically from a different generation than Max.
They did an episode where the main guy, the whose body it all... Osmosis Jones, if you don't know, is about germs, and one of the germs is a detective, and his name is Osmosis Jones, and his best friend
and the movie is awesome.
Yeah. Oh, I think the TV show is called Ozzy and Drix.
So the movie is Bill Murray, and is Will Smith Osmosis Jones? I might be thinking of that fish movie with him and Angelina Jolie, where they made the fish too hot. They gave her boobs.
Is it?
And like big lips.
No.
It's like a 90s, early 2000s black actor who was really big at the time. And my brain is telling me Will Smith. Anyway, I'm going to look this up. You keep explaining to them Osmosis Jones, because that's important for the podcast.
Yes. Anyways, the mythology episode, we're going to be talking about the mythology of Osmosis Jones. It's about germs living in the body, and there's a guy who's a germ, Osmosis Jones, and he's a detective.
Chris Rock. Oh, Chris Rock, I'd like to put out an apology for not immediately assuming you were Osmosis Jones.
Yeah, that's bad on us.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the kid whose body they are germs in has a cigarette, and they get to like, it gets in his brain, and there's like the like things that you want that are in your brain, and before it's like a soccer ball and like nachos and video games, and then he has a cigarette, and all three of the like want things turn into cigarettes, and it's really ominous. And then at the end, like he comes home and his mom is like, "Why do you smell like smoke?" And he's like, "Oh, dinner must be burning in the oven." And she's like, "Oh my God." And then he like runs upstairs and she opens the oven and she's like, "I'm making salad for dinner." And then at the end of the episode, the girl that he has a crush on is like, "I don't like guys who smoke." And he's like, "Oh, gotcha." And then all three of the like things that he wants are filled with her face. It's like, ooh, that's also
ominous.
Pretty unhealthy, but at least it's not cigarettes. Am I right, writers in the 90s?
The moral of the story is peer pressure is good sometimes.
Yeah, as long as it's not about cigarettes.
And also, a little stalking goes a long way. You make her love you. Anyway, with that,
cool.
Do we want to start, now that you've got a little taste Buckle up your little butt snacks is about to
Now that
give
we've
you
given
some
you
mythology.
we've given you your first hit for free.
Oh!
The next one you gotta pay for.
So everybody Venmo us $2 and Max is going to tell you a story.
Cool. Yeah. I have a riddle for you to begin.
Okay.
Janey already knows the answer to this riddle because we discussed ahead of time which mythologies we were going to be doing.
I might not know the answer to the riddle.
Oh, okay, you will.
We were afraid we were gonna do the same story.
Yeah,
and we're not
very
like
real
those
possibility.
cool rock star podcasts that just throw it up in the air. We get nervous, but also because we know all the same stories. Like half the stories I tell in my life, I talk to Max about first.
Yeah.
So
the reason why we did this podcast is because we would always tell each other weird stories. Like we would come across like weird myths or fairy tales or something, and we would tell them to each other. So it was a very real possibility that we could make something like that. So, anyways.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here's my riddle. Who are the twain that on 10 feet run? 3 eyes they have, but only 1 tail.
Who are the twain that on 10 feet run?
Mm-hmm.
So that means 2 of them, they each have 5 feet. Or one of them has 8 feet and one of them has 2 feet. Oh,
hey.
Never mind, I know! I accidentally fucking rolled downhill into that one. The excitement I just felt was real. I feel like somebody just gave me an EpiPen.
The answer is Odin and Sleipnir from Norse mythology. So that riddle comes from the Hervar Saga of Hythrix. It is a man named Gestemblindi asks Hythric. This seemingly impossible riddle, which Janey you've just solved, is the sort of the father of the gods in Norse mythology. He has 1 eye and 2 legs and no tail. And Sleipnir is his steed, who is a gray horse who has 8 legs and 2 eyes and 1 tail. So if you're good at math, you'll get that riddle.
I'm not. I wish I didn't know what story you were telling, because I think I would have come upon it the exact same way.
Yeah.
That would have been so fun. Now I have to think of a riddle from my story. Excuse me while I don't listen to yours and I desperately try to come up with a riddle.
So if you've heard the name Sleipnir before, you probably already know this story. But this is one of the more... A lot of Norse myths are kind of like, treachery, brother against brother, everyone got murdered, blah, blah, blah. This is a sort of a fun one.
I'm so excited.
I wanted to tell it.
I will say, from having not read these, but having listened to a lot of Norse myths, it seems like in the beginning, the ancient Norse people were like, hey, wouldn't it be silly if XYZ? And they were like, that would be so silly, let's do it! And then they'd write it down. And then later on, I feel like Christians came in and they were like, but it's not silly, is it?
It's actually bad. Have you considered?
What if instead of what you were doing, we made it bad? And then that's when you got all of your favorite characters fucking dying and shit. And you're like, oh. It'd be like if... I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good.
If the show Saved by the Bell became Game of Thrones. And that's Norse mythology.
Saved from the game of the Bell of Thrones.
Bell of the Thrones.
Speaking of that, I'll just flash forward. So, when the end of the world comes, and it's going to be soon.
Can it be sooner?
It will begin with cruel winters and moral chaos. All the giants and demons will flock from the corners of the compass to fight the gods. The 2 celestial wolves that have stalked the sun and moon since the beginning of time will catch up and will devour the sun and the moon. Yggdrasil will shake on its foundations and the stars will fall to the earth and vanish. The earth will sink into the sea because the giant serpent Jormungandr is going to rise up and writhe and cause the seas to flood the lands. Meanwhile, Fenrir, the giant wolf, will break through his chains at last, and he will stretch his mouth so that his bottom jaw is on the earth, his top jaw is on the sky, and then he'll just run circles around the globe and devour everything, right?
I'm into this. Also, Good for them.
Yeah. The ship Naglfar, which is made from the fingernails and toenails of dead men and women, will sail, crewed by an army of giants and led by Loki, who is broken free from his chains, which he was put in for murdering the god Balder. Also, the chains aren't chains, they're actually the entrails of his son, who was killed by his other son, who turned into a wolf. Not Fenrir, different wolf.
Oh, shit.
Jormungandr will spit poison and drown those that remain in poison and fire. The sky will split open, and the fire giants from Muspelheim will emerge from the rift, led by the giant Surt, and he will be holding his flaming sword. The Bifrost will shatter under their tread. Heimdall will blow Gjallarhorn, the horn of the apocalypse, to announce that the world is ending. Odin will go to the head of Mimir and request his memory, and it won't help. Everyone knows what's about to happen. This has been predicted since the beginning of time, and it is a foregone conclusion that this is what's going to happen. There's nothing they can do. Odin and the Einherjar of Valhalla will fight Fenrir. That's the people who went to the warriors, human warriors who went to Valhalla.
Yeah.
They will fight at the side of Odin and kill Fenrir, but Odin will be eaten in the process. Odin's son Vidar will kill Fenrir.
No!
Vidar will be wearing the shoe made of every bit of shoe leather ever discarded by man in the course of human history.
Wait, so he's wearing scrap shoes?
Yeah. One shoe.
Oh, no.
Garm the giant and Tyr the god will slay each other. Heimdall and Loki will slay each other. Freyr and Surt will slay each other. And Thor and Jormungandr will slay each other. And then only the void will remain. And depending on the mythology, two humans, Lif and Lifthrasir, will emerge from the shards of Yggdrasil and repopulate the world. So that's the end of Norse mythology.
Oh boy!
So, spoilers?
Oh yeah, sorry. Huge spoiler warning for the end of the world. Can I ask you?
Yes.
The giant in Muspelheim, that's the guy in Ragnarok with the big horns.
In the movie Thor Ragnarok, Surtur, yeah.
Amazing.
He's the bringer of Ragnarok, yes.
Amazing. So I got a game on my, you know this, but you guys don't know this. I got a game on my Oculus called Ragnarok, R-O-C-K, and it is a game where by drumming to Norse metal music, I row a Viking boat and I make it go faster, and I have a bunch of boys in the boat who are rowing and being like, "Haroo!" and it's really intense. But they have a scene in there. You can pick different scenes. Guys, get Ragnarok. It's so fun. And also, I'm getting guns. Legit, biceps.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, I'm also going to buy a gun. I'm metal as fuck now.
Oh my god.
But one of your scenes you can choose is Muspelheim, and they have that guy, and he's throwing lava at you and stuff. And I was like, it's really weird. They literally took a scene from Thor Ragnarok, and I'm realizing that's not even their design. That's just what they look like.
Yeah. So that depiction of Ragnarok that I just described, by the way, is from Norse-mythology.org.
Oh.
Yeah, no, Norse mythology has been media mined all the hell, and I absolutely love it.
I love it too.
Yeah.
I also don't mind. Well, we don't have to talk about this. We can talk about this at the end. You go ahead.
Okay. Also, fascists who have claimed Futhark runes and Norse mythology as their totems, go fuck yourselves, and I hate you.
Yeah,
if I see you, I'll hit you in the face.
Oh, yeah. Prepare to get hit in the face.
Yeah. The Norsemen were great, and shut up. And
they wouldn't have agreed with your ideology.
Yeah, so go fuck yourself. Just a little toss in right there. I will be your Ragnarok.
Oh my god.
If you
That's
fucks with
badass.
Yeah.
That's a badass thing to say.
No Nazi punks, babe.
No Nazis. Max will be your Ragnarok.
So that's just the end of Norse mythology, just so we have an idea of
where we're heading.
Here we're going. But this is way back in the beginning. This is when the Aesir, who are the primary, most of the gods in Norse mythology, Odin, Thor, Frigg, all of them, the Aesir first came to Asgard, and they built the Bifrost. They were trying to protect themselves from the Jotun, who are the frost giants, who were they were waging war against each other at all times, trying to invade each other and everything like that. Invade each other's lands.
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Actually, that's true.
That is true. I was going through this. I read this book when I was in high school called Myths of the Norsemen by Helene E. Guerber, which I found, by the way.
Nice.
It is in my bookshelf where it should be.
Okay.
Helene E. Guerber, Myths of the Norsemen. I read this when I was in high school because I really wanted to understand Norse mythology, and it's dense because it's very well researched and very particular and specific, but it's a really good book. And I was like, I feel like I used to understand so much more about Norse mythology, and I've like forgotten a whole lot about it. So I was going back through and I was trying to figure out the like family tree of the Norse pantheon and stuff like that. And don't.
Oh.
It's not worth it.
Okay.
I was trying to figure out, because Janey, we were having a conversation last night about how Loki actually isn't the son of Odin.
Blew our minds.
Yeah. So like Marvel Cinematic Universe and all that, Thor and Loki are sons of Odin. Loki is his half
Adopted
Yeah,
son. But we thought for sure that was the truth. Like, I think that just completely, like, sunk into our brains, and I didn't even entertain the possibility that Loki wouldn't be Odin's adopted son.
Yeah. So, if you've heard the matronymic epithet of Loki, Loki Laufey's son, that is his mother's name, is Laufey. She was a goddess. We don't know anything about her except that she's Loki's mom. His father was a Jotun, one of the frost giants. But aside from that, we don't really know how he comes into Norse mythology beyond the fact that there are oblique references to him being Odin's blood brother, not in the sense of brother by blood, but in the sense of like a blood pact,
like
between the two of
their
them,
fingers and touching them and being like, "Hey, bro, like we're in a blood pact now."
Yeah, now let's go build a tire slam.
That's actually literally what they pulled from when they were writing Practical Magic.
Yeah, so we don't know what the pact was that they made or anything like that, but that's the only thing that we really get to understand why Loki is part of Norse mythology from my very brief and cursory 2 hours of research today.
It's just really interesting.
Yeah. He also, rather than being sort of Thor's equal, he serves as more of like a foster uncle, where he is closer to Odin's age, and he's sort of the fun uncle.
I hate that. I want Thor and Loki to be the same age.
I know. This isn't super important to the story, but just so you know, the Jotun come from Jotunheim, the like land of the frost giants, which is separate from Niflheim, which is the ice realm. So there's Asgard, Vanaheim, Jotunheim, Alfheim, Svartalfheim, Midgard, which is Earth, Niflheim, which is the ice realm, and Muspelheim, which is the fire realm, where Surtur comes from, and then Hel, which is both the goddess Hel, or Hela, if you know this from the MCU, but also the place Hell that the dead go.
The place also called Hela?
I don't know.
I was told that they switched it in the MCU for some reason. They called her Hela, but her name is Hel, and where she goes is Hela.
The things that I read said that they were both Hel, just Hel.
Yeah.
But
it's pretty confusing.
Yeah.
I would say, as you were saying all the Heims, you were saying it in the same cadence as the Fairly Odd Parents thing. And I just keep thinking, large fries, too much shake!
Yep.
I hope you all were also thinking that. If you were also thinking that, you owe me $1. Or, like, tell us on Instagram, please.
Yes, so Niflheim and Muspelheim, the ice and fire realms, where they sort of met, they formed a miasma, which created the god Ymir, who was the first giant. From Ymir are descended Odin, Vili, and Ve. They end up killing Ymir and taking the 9 realms from themselves. Odin is like the big deal one. Mm-hmm. Loki is descended of Farbauti, he's a Jotun from Jotunheim, and Laufey, a goddess who is in some way presumably related to Odin, or she's like a daughter of Ymir or something like that. But again, we don't really know. We just know that her name is Laufey.
It's a good name, but she deserves her own story.
Yeah, right? So again, as I was saying, they're building up Asgard. They're trying to protect it against the Jotun. And they decide that they want to build a citadel, a fortress that they can protect from outside influences. And so we have like all the gods here. We've got Odin and Frigg and Loki and Balder and like all the big deal gods are all sitting around, and they're like, wouldn't it be nice if we had Thor isn't here, I should mention also. Okay. Thor is not here. They're like, wouldn't it be nice if we had like a big, beautiful, tough guy fortress or something like that? Wouldn't that be fun? And as they're saying this guy walks by with his horse. And the horse is hot. I know that we have had a lot of hot horses on this show in the past few episodes.
No one can resist our hot horse.
No one can resist our hot horse. And he's like, oh, you guys are talking about building a fortress, huh? And they're like, yeah, we would love that. And he's like, I'm actually a fortress builder. What a
fortuitous.
Good fortune upon us all. Yeah. He's like, I'm actually a fortress builder, and I can build you a fortress if you want. And they were like, oh my god, like, yeah, absolutely. Like, how much is that kind of thing gonna run us? And he was like, oh, I work at a contractor's rate, so it's actually gonna be, let me think, because I don't want to work. I think it's going to be easiest if we factor in the cost of materials plus the cost of labor and all of that. I think the easiest thing to do is we're just going to say like flat rate, the sun, the moon, and the goddess Freya.
Fucking
and that's my price.
Poor Freya. Freya is constantly just like, what's up?
Yep.
Why does everybody want to marry Freya?
Yep. Freya or Frigg is the goddess of youth and beauty.
These fucking gross men.
I know. So he's like, the sun and the moon and Freya is the cost of building this impenetrable fortress. And the gods, their first reaction is to be like, no?
That's
and
not
what
money.
the fuck?
What about money?
Money doesn't exist yet.
Oh,
I will
shit.
say.
Okay. Well, then they'll give you a little kiss on the mouth.
Yeah, you can come hang out with them in their fortress.
Kiss in the mouth from Odin.
Aw.
That's all.
Yeah.
Oh.
He'll show you what's under his eye patch.
Oh, and it's another mouth to kiss.
Ew, gross.
Well, that's
horrifying.
That's why he wears the eye patch.
No. In real Norse mythology, Odin sacrificed one of his eyes in order to become all-seeing.
I will say, I don't think it worked. I'm team a lot of things other than the gods in these stories.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But see, he only has one eye. And he wears an eye patch, and also underneath the eye patch is a little mouth, and it's going,
And, like, you always hear that when he's, like, doing any sort of decree. He's like, and another thing, I also think that we should. And everyone's like, what's happening?
So, their first reaction is to be like, hey, we're the gods, and you can't talk to us like that. And, like, what's your fucking problem?
Yeah.
And then Loki's like, whoa, hey guys, let's have a conversation. And he, like, corrals them all over to an area, and he's like, okay, we only have to pay him if he gets the job done. So what we have to do is make the job impossible for him to get done. Like, we want him to finish the fortress, but we should give him, like, a time constraint so that he can't actually realistically finish it, and then we don't have to pay him, you know?
And then most of the fortress will be built.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And they're like, oh, that's really tricky, Loki. And then he does, like, a little dance, and he's like, that's my name. He's the trickster god.
And then he sings the theme song from Fairly Odd Parents.
Yep. But they're like, we do need a fortress or we're gonna die, and we don't want to pay this guy, so I guess we'll do it your way. And so they all go back to the builder, and they're like, okay, fine. You can have the moon, the sun, and Freya if you can complete this fortress to our specifications over the course of a single winter.
Oh.
And he says, yeah, I think I can do that. I'll just need to make sure that I have enough hands on it and everything. And they're like, oh no, you can't have any help from any other people. It has to be just you and your horse. And he's like, okay, my horse gets to help, right? And they're like, oh yeah, first mistake.
Oh no.
So,
that hot horse isn't just for his looks.
So they agree, they shake on it, and the gods go and wait out the building process. Meanwhile, the builder, by night, he and his horse, whose name is Svadilfar, his horse, and he drag these massive stone blocks to the building site every night, all night. And then during the day, they work on building all of the walls and everything. They build the doors in and the ceilings. And they're getting through it very quickly, astonishingly quickly, because the builder himself is incredibly competent and works as quickly as, like, 3 men. And the horse works twice as quickly as that. So
they actually have 9 men.
Basically. Good math.
I know.
You redeemed yourself.
I know.
So the gods are watching this process happen, and they keep, like, watching him and then looking furiously over at Loki. And Loki's like, okay, I really thought that this would be an unreasonable request, and I don't know how he's doing this. And they're like, if he does it, you're gonna, oh, buddy.
Oh, I'm so mad.
So they're watching him construct this, and it gets towards the last few days of winter, and the builder is almost finished with the fortress. He only has like a couple of hours of work left, basically, and it's the day before his time is up. So they're like, he's gonna finish it. Like, this is supposed to be impossible, and he's going to finish it. And like, Freya's like, I don't want to go with him.
Freya's like, I actually wasn't consulted at all, even with
So so it's down to the last few hours, and then like Simpsons style, Odin picks up Loki by his throat and like throttles him. And he's like, you better figure this out. We wouldn't have agreed to this if you hadn't said that he couldn't do it, and he's about to do it. So this is your fault. Like, you've got to go figure this shit out. Like, go figure something out, fix this. And Loki's like, okay. So Loki, the trickster.
Yeah.
The cunning Loki.
Yeah.
The problem solver.
The hot one.
Hot one.
We know.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell us stories.
Hatches a masterful plan.
Okay.
That evening, the sun sets, and the builder's horse, Svartalfar, is dragging blocks from one place to the work site, and he is dragging them past the very edge of a thickly wooded forest. And from inside of the forest, he hears, woohoo! And this horse looks over into the forest, and he sees a sexy lady horse.
Like that scene in Hercules.
Exactly like that scene in Hercules. Just a fancy, sexy lady horse.
With like a little heart tattoo on her butt, which was my favorite part of the horse from Hercules.
That horse has a tramp stamp.
She legitimately has a pink tramp stamp.
He sees this horse, and the actual literature says that he sees a horse of a certain kind that he can recognize, and he throws off his harness and goes running after her.
A horse of a certain kind is a really nice way to be like, that horse was a slut!
Yeah, stop slut-shaming horses. That is exactly the implication.
I know that kind of horse. That kind of horse only wants one thing.
Yeah, so this hot, sexy horse in the forest is like, woohoo, and like wiggles its hoofs at Svartalfar.
This is a body horror episode.
Yeah, and Svartalfar immediately throws off his harness and like drops the stone that he was dragging and
runs
gallops
off 5 legs.
No, 4 legs. Whoa!
Oh, do the math.
Svartalfar is a normal horse. Loki is also a normal horse, except he's Loki. Just so you guys know, we're at this point in the story. So Loki is a sexy lady horse.
Yeah, he is.
And Svartalfar runs after Loki into the forest. And Loki is careful to always stay like just out of reach and everything. And Svartalfar is chasing him through the forest. And meanwhile, the builder saw his horse run off and is chasing behind them like, hey! Wait a minute! So they're all chasing each other through the forest. And Loki leads Svartalfar on this chase all night long. So by the time, like, he leads them so far out into the woods that they couldn't even get back to the fortress, much less finish construction. And then leads them back. At some point, there must be some time unaccounted for. Right?
Sure.
Remember this later. There's a fade to black moment in there at some point. But, so, finally Loki loops back around and heads back to the fortress where all of the gods are waiting. And they're, like, hey, you didn't finish the contract, so we don't have to pay you. But also there are only, like, 4 blocks left to put into the thing. Ooh. So, thank you so much, but bye. So, Svartalfar, Loki, and the builder are all standing at the edge of the forest.
Is Loki still a horse?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a sexy mare, still.
Oh, yeah.
And the builder is furious.
Yeah.
He's like, you tricked me. I did all this work because I was promised payment.
I agree.
And you tricked me.
I agree. This is a real fucking Trump.
The freelancer's dilemma. And he reveals his true form. He is Hremtur's, who is one of the original architects of the 9 realms. And he's also a giant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so he's this big scary guy who was in disguise because he knew that, like, the gods wouldn't let him in.
Marry Freya.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I feel bad for him.
I do too.
I'm on his side. That's shitty.
Yeah, so Remtors reveals his massive giant form and is, like, getting angry, and he keeps getting bigger and bigger, and he's stomping towards the gods, and he's like, I fucking did all this work for you. How fucking dare you? And he's, like, going after them, and then out of nowhere, you just hear Thor! And Thor sails in out of nowhere with Mjolnir, and just out of the sky, like a meteor, right into Remtor's. Kills him instantly.
Okay.
They got really lucky because Thor just happened to be on the way home, and he was like, oh my god,
Thor's
there's
the
a giant
killer.
Yeah, there's a giant menacing my mom. And so he
Get away
just
from my
came
mommy!
out of nowhere with his hammer, and his hammer Mjolnir, and just smushed him. He smushed the giant. So we don't, there's no mention of what happens to Svartalfar after this story. Presumably he's, like, one of the horses that the gods have now. But a short while later, Loki, having been previously a lady horse, was impregnated by Svartalfar. I was trying to think of a fun way to say that, but no.
Was knocked up.
Yeah, the sexy lady horse got knocked up. And
he
then
got
Loki,
horse knocked up.
Yeah, Loki gave birth to an 8-legged gray stallion named Sleipnir.
Sleipnir.
And because he was the finest horse, the finest mount in all of everywhere, Loki gave him to Odin, presumably to apologize for almost getting them into a bunch of trouble. Doesn't seem fair to me.
Sleipnir didn't do anything. He just wants to stay with his mom.
Yes. A couple fun little things. Svartalfar, the name literally means unlucky traveler. Which is a lot of, I feel like a lot of, like, 90s male comedian comedy comes from, like, direct same sense of humor as Norse mythology, where they were like, this unlucky horse got tricked and knocked up this lady horse.
Now this
what an unlucky traveling
this unlucky
guy.
Traveler is paying child support, horse support, pony support. I got
Child horse.
Oh.
Yeah, and also Sleipnir means slippery or the slipper, which feels gross.
Maybe it means that the birth wasn't as bad as what I'm thinking. Imagine giving birth to a baby with 8 legs like a spider.
Gross.
Can I tell you what I like?
Yeah.
So far? Because now when I think of Thor, because we've done this whole thing about what Thor actually looks like, which is like a strongman, not like a bodybuilder, in that he has a big belly and has a big beard, and I imagine him as just kind of like a tall Gimli from Lord of the Rings. And he'd be very proud of that description. Bigger the belly, the stronger the man.
Yeah.
So I like imagining as Thor is shooting through the sky like a meteor, he is just Gimli from Lord of the Rings.
He's
like
a circle.
Like a full circle.
He looks like a zeppelin.
And also with the biggest smile on his face, because he's just a meathead. Like, Thor is so dumb.
Oh,
he's like amazing. A dumb meathead, and I just love... He likes a couple things. He likes his wife's hair, and he likes killing giants with his hammer. And beer. Like, that's Thor.
Yeah. Honestly, good for him.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy for him.
Yeah, and if you want to hear more about Thor, also, you should check out Jackson Crawford. He is a Norse mythology and linguistics doctor of, and he has a bunch of stuff online where he talks about, like, Norse language, but also, like, the Norse gods and stuff. They actually interviewed him when the new I think it was the new God of War trailer came out, and it showed Thor being, like, a massive, very round, red-bearded man. They talked to Jackson Crawford about how that depiction was actually a very positive thing in Norse mythology. Like, Thor would have been immensely complimented by that depiction because, you know, in the frozen north where food is scarce, if you're fat, it means that you are a great hunter. It means that you can provide for your family, and it means that you live a life where you, like, have enough activity that you can actually, like, hold weight.
Put on weight. Yeah, and also just look up strong men in general. They all look like that.
Yeah.
The dad from Brave, The dad from
Yes.
the huge, red-bearded, jolly guy from Brave, that's Thor.
Yeah. Also the dad from How to Train Your Dragon.
Yes. Just all the big, red-bearded dads.
Yes.
Not
yeah,
that
so
we
that's
don't
kind
love
of...
Chris Hemsworth, because we do. But,
yeah, of course.
oh boy, do I love this version of Thor even more.
Yeah. Also, a couple little things about Loki. Sleipnir is not his only child. It is the only child that he birthed himself. But Loki...
It's the only child that he was the mom to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loki and the giantess Angerbota, whose name literally means distress bringer. It's like, you should take my wife.
Sounds like my ex-wife.
Yeah. Gave birth to Hel, the goddess of death, Jormungandr, the world snake, and Fenrir, or Fenrisulfur, the wolf, which are 3 of the bringers of the apocalypse. Sleipnir also was Odin's steed forever and is like lauded in a bunch of different epics as being like impossibly fast, and really only Odin is able to ride him. There is one adventure in which Odin lends him out to an adventurer. I believe it's the story of Balder, in order to be able to ride more quickly. But for the most part, it's like exclusively Odin's horse, and it's the best horse.
Aww.
Like horses that are described as being like 3 generations descended from Sleipnir are like still godlike horses.
Amazing.
Yeah. So Sleipnir's a good baby.
I love Sleipnir.
Yeah. Anyways, that's the story of how Loki Laufeyson gave birth to an 8-legged horse that he gave to his dad.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Honestly, I love that story so much.
Oh, sorry, one other thing. Loki Laufeyson, which is, like I said, it's a matronymic, which means a name that comes from the mother's name.
God, bring it back.
Yeah, but actually, so in Norse mythology, that's pretty rare. People, gods, everyone, their mimics were usually patronymics, which their name comes from their father. But for whatever reason, probably because his father was a Jotun, but
and his mother was a goddess.
Like
she was more...
Yeah, Loki is the only god in Norse mythology that uses a matronymic, which is really interesting.
Amazing.
Yeah, just really cool. Loki's cool and great. Also, check out stories about Ragnarok, because it's wild.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. How fun.
Yeah.
I saw a YouTube video. I believe it was the channel See You in History with the U as the letter U. But I think it was them, and when they told that story, they talked about how I don't know if this was written or if this was them, but they said that Loki came out of the woods and he just had this 8-legged pony that wouldn't stop staring at him lovingly. Oh. And everyone's like, what? We haven't seen you in a long time. And the pony was just like leaning on him and just staring at him just goo-goo-eyed, like, I love you. And Loki was like, no one asked me about this. It's fine. Just like, no, it's fine.
No questions, please.
And I just love the idea of this little pony who loves his mom so much.
Yeah, I really like... Sorry, I wasn't going to talk about this, but then I decided I wanted to.
Yeah.
Loki's children, Jormungandr, Hel, Fenrir, and Sleipnir, are all... they are all part of the building of Ragnarok, basically, which, again, from the beginning of time, this prophecy of Ragnarok was handed down in greatly specific detail. And it still all comes to pass, basically. But something that I think is really interesting is that Loki was sort of cast out from the rest of the gods because he turned on Balder, who is the most beloved of the gods, the god of light, all of that. And he caused Balder to die. And as a result, his 2... human children, which we don't know really much about, except that in the context of this myth, the gods turned one of them into a wolf, and the wolf ate the other one, and then the other one's entrails were what they used to chain up Loki.
That's so fucked up.
I know. But then the story of Fenrir was a good dog.
Was not an evil dog. Was a puppy who was just getting too big. Yeah,
until the gods decided that it wasn't worth risking Ragnarok to save this puppy, so they chained him up and they made him not trust them. And that's how he eventually came to destroy the world, was because they wouldn't trust him no matter how trustworthy he was. The same with Hel, the goddess of death.
Yeah.
She started off being very beautiful, and then in later depictions she's shown as her face is chimeric. It's half and half of it's very beautiful and half of it is horrifying.
Like a skull?
Yeah, because the gods sort of were like, death is bad, actually. And she's like, then why did you make me?
Yeah.
And Jormungandr, the world snake. Jormungandr is this massive snake that's wrapped around the world at the bottom of the ocean. And he mostly just minded his own business until Thor just started fucking with him. Thor just went down and started, like, he would try to pull Jormungandr out of the ocean. He would, like, drop his hammer on him and everything. And that's why Jormungandr became part of Ragnarok, is because he wanted to, like, get back at Thor. So, like, all of these stories of Loki and his children are stories of, if you don't trust someone and you, like, refuse to give them credit for the good that they try and do, then you will make yourself an enemy. You know, like, you will create a new enemy, which I think is really interesting.
It's fantastic. It shows the moral for the gods, not like a moral for humans.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Greek mythology is a lot of times like, the gods are gonna fuck with you, and here's the moral of that for you.
Yeah.
And I like Norse mythology is like, yeah, the gods are making these constant mistakes, and you can track them, and now the world has ended.
Yeah.
Like, it's a really cool distinction.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, the reason why Thor, I'm not gonna tell the story, but the reason why Thor has his beef with Jormungandr,
yeah.
Jormungandr is, I'm not gonna say it, but it's told in the story of Thor in Jotunheim. And so if you look up that story, or maybe you could tell it in like a later episode, but there's it's hilarious. There's like competitions, there's pranks, there's weird things, but at the end of it, Thor has a beef with this big snake, and that's why he goes after him. He's like, that's the one I can defeat.
Yeah, is that the one where he goes fishing and he accidentally pulls Jormungandr up out of the ocean?
No,
oh, okay.
No. This is the one where he's tricked into lifting a cat, and he can't, and he gets it over his head, but the cat's feet stay on the ground, and it's like, meow. And he's like, why is this cat so heavy? And it turns out the cat is the snake in disguise, and it's like, why? And then after that, Thor is like, oh, I'm gonna lift that snake to the moon.
Yeah, poor babies. All the Loki son children are just the saddest, especially Fenrir, but also just, you know, just treat kids right. Anyways.
Treat kids right. This is a really good thing of, like, you have to, the nature versus nurture. If you nurture them well, then they'll probably treat you well, because they won't feel like they have to defend themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And also, fuck
a
prophecy. Fuck a prophecy.
Oh, and this is Max's new single, Fuck a Prophecy. Fap.
Yep. Oh, no. Yeah. Anyways.
I'm gonna have to make sure fap isn't something, like, racist. Doesn't it sound like a racial slur?
I think it means masturbate.
Oh, okay. Well, then fap away. Let's take a break.
Please don't. Okay.
Bye. Okay, Max.
Okay, Janey.
Okay, so here's a riddle for you.
Okay.
What has 2 miracles and also a good death?
A genie?
A saint. Anyway, okay, so so for our mythology day, I'm kind of doing a stretch, but not really. So I'm going to have to justify. Also, I made up that riddle. It's not a riddle. It's just, what are the qualifications of becoming a Catholic saint?
It's just the application form to become a Catholic saint.
So I was on TikTok, right? Scrolling, as you do. And people started to tag me, which I love TikTok. Guys, I fucking love TikTok. I like everybody I meet on there that I like. Because some people I meet on there aren't great. But most of the people I meet are amazing, and they tag me in amazing things. So if they find a story that somebody's telling and they're like, oh, this is so cool, they immediately tag me. And I'm like, oh, guys, so sweet. So this was one of them. I've been getting tagged a lot in the stories, started by the hippie Viking on TikTok, who did a really fun thing, of Saint Olga of Kyiv. Obviously, Kyiv is on everybody's mind right now because of everything. Yep. And I'm not going to get into it at the back of this, but I am going to give resources at the back of this. But when I was thinking about mythology, I was like, I really want to do Saint Olga of Kyiv. She's a Catholic saint, but oh boy, is her story the fucking best.
Love it.
That being said, I was like, does this count as mythology? Are people going to get offended? And then I realized it absolutely does, because we count Greek mythology and Greek gods and goddesses as mythology. And people still practice those religions, so like, you know, it's mythology, and that's what we're doing today.
Yeah.
All right? Also, like, you know, it's fun. It's fun. So just put your pants back on, everybody. We're going to talk about Saint Olga of Kyiv.
Cool.
Do you have a...
Mythology, I feel like people hear mythology and they think like, oh, these are some things that are not true that people would tell each other. And that's not the case. Mythology is just stories that explain the basis of someone's belief. So I think that it is very, very appropriate to talk about Christian mythology, Jewish mythology.
Yeah.
The same way that we talk about Chinese, like Hindu mythology, we talk about Buddhist mythology and stuff like that. Those are still practicing religions. And the mythology is just the stories that are the basis and structure of those beliefs. So I think it is very appropriate to call it Christian mythology.
Thank you. I will also say Saint Olga was a real person. All the saints were actually, you know, real people. But this story is probably highly exaggerated. There are a lot of different, like, sources that are like, okay, this might not all be, like, 100% true, but oh boy, is this the great lead up to her becoming a saint. And I want you to keep in mind, she was canonized by the Catholic Church.
I mean, St. George slew a dragon, and the Catholic Church doesn't acknowledge the existence of dragons, so, like...
Oh.
Come on.
Address it, Pope Francis.
Hey, the Pope.
Hello?
Tell us your thoughts on dragons.
Honestly, I like the Popes. You know, I'm a big fan, man. You can talk about dragons if you want to talk about dragons. It's okay. There's a lot of other things I would like you to talk about first, though. Anyway.
This is Pope John?
No, Pope Francis.
Oh, right.
You're thinking of John Paul II, who was before Benedict, who was the one right before Francis.
Do you think that they have to take into consideration not naming any popes John, because then they would have to call him Papa John?
Again, John Paul was a pope.
Yeah, but you don't just call him John.
Also, they don't name.
But you could.
The popes picked their own. Anyway, you know what?
Papa John.
You can call him Papa John if you would like.
I would like.
Okay. Well, this is Papa Francis. Papa Frank. Anyway, but we're not talking about him today. We're talking about Saint Olga of Kyiv. So, Saint Olga, we're just going to call her Olga because she wasn't a saint at this point. She was born somewhere around the year 900. It could have been like a little bit before that, a tiny bit after, but they know that she was born like right in the beginning of the 10th century. And she was born to a royal family of Vikings. So
nice.
We're already starting out pretty fucking cool.
Hell yeah.
She was born in, I'm not going to be able to pronounce this city, and I'm so sorry I didn't look it up. Pskov? No, you can't look at my notes.
Okay, I took a whole semester of Russian, that's all I'm saying.
Pskov.
Pskov, maybe? You don't have to do that, though.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. Anyway, that's modern day Russia, okay? She got married to the Prince of Kiev, Igor or Igor. How would you say it?
Igor.
Okay. So she married Igor, the Prince of Kiev, when she was about 15 years old. Okay? She seems very young. That being said, when she got married to him, he wasn't king yet because he was too young to be king. So he was also probably around 15, right? So they're both very young. They get married. By the time they're about 20, his father, who is... Okay, Igor is the heir apparent of the Kievan Rus. Rus is the ancestors of what are now, like, Russian people, right? So his father, Rurik, dies, and Igor is too young to take the throne, and so he has a regent. The regent's name is Oleg. This is important. All this history is important. Oleg is ruling. Everybody still fears him the same way they feared Igor's father, and everybody's fine. So every year, all of the like tribes around where they are have to pay tributes to the ruling class, right? And this was fine.
Taxes.
Yeah, basically. But everybody was doing this, and it was totally fine. Nobody was, like, arguing. And then Oleg dies, and Igor takes the throne. And when Igor takes the throne, there is one group called the Drevlians, which just sounds like a villain name.
Oh, yeah.
So the Drevlians immediately are like, oh, yeah, this child, we're not paying taxes to a child. He can go fuck himself. And so they straight up are like, yeah, we're not doing that. So have fun. What are you going to do? Come over here and like collect them, you tiny child? And Igor's like, yeah, I'm like 20 years old. Like, I'm not like a baby.
You toddler.
Again, it's the year 900. I'm basically middle-aged. It's really
You're
weird.
a zygote.
We don't know what that is yet. You guys are being really unreasonable. Just pay your taxes. So
I'm on the Drevlian side.
100%. Why pay to an infant?
Well, also, why pay your taxes if you're not getting anything back for it?
100%. So, but it's out of fear, right? So they don't fear Igor, and so they're just not going to pay their taxes. And so he realizes all the other tribes are looking at him like, oh, they don't have to pay their taxes? Well, we also hate paying taxes, so maybe. And so Igor's like, shit, I have to like make a stand. So he gets together an entire army and he marches to the Drevlians like area. And basically at the threat of sieging their whole city, he's like, pay your taxes. And they're like, fine. And so they pay their taxes and then he leaves. But as he's leaving, it seems to me Igor got a little bit hot-headed. He was like, yeah, that's right. Like, you're going to pay your taxes. I'm the big man. Like, everybody knows that. And so he is thinking about this a lot. And he realized, he's like, you know what? It's not enough. They defied me. It's not enough. I have to go back. And so he decides to go back to the Drevlians to demand more tributes. He doesn't bring a big army. Because I think in his head, and like, this proves how young he is to me, he thinks they were scared of him. Mm-hmm. They were scared of the army that they brought, the thousands of men that they brought with them, with weapons and training. Yeah. They're not afraid of Igor.
Yeah, and also they were going to attack them, presumably without, like, the Drevlians weren't prepared for a battle, I don't imagine.
Yeah, it's not like
and now they know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Igor is like, I'm going back. Like, screw you guys. And he gets together a very small private, like, escort. And he marches back to the Drevlians. And he's like, time to pay more taxes. And they're like, yeah, we weren't afraid of you.
No.
So they decide to execute him.
Oh.
They do it in the most fucked up medieval way possible. By the way, this story is full of a ton of trigger warnings. This is a very violent tale. So, what they do, Prince Mal, who is the prince of the Drevlians, he orders Igor to be tied to 2 different trees. They are both bent down and staked down. Each of his legs is tied to one of these trees. And at the same time, they cut the ropes tying those bent trees down. They snap back, ripping him in half long ways. And that's how Igor dies. So Olga is at home with her 3-year-old child, and she gets word, like, basically, she might have already gotten word, right? But no matter what, she's now become the queen regent, right? She has to, like, now she's gonna rule, and until her son gets old enough to rule. Her son's name is Sviatoslav. This is pretty fucked up. She is now queen regent. Now, the Drevlians are like, now that Igor is no longer the ruler of the Kievan Rus, we want to take over. And so they decide the best way to do that is to marry Prince Mal to Olga. They're like, and then he'll be king. And so they just murdered her husband in a really fucked up way. And also, these two grew up together. Like, she really loved her husband. They were friends and they were husband and wife. And she has a baby. And now she's just like thrust into this really horrible situation. So they send 20 messengers to her in boats. They row their way up. They get out of their boats and they were like, hey, so your husband's dead. Also, Prince Mal thinks you're really pretty. And like, he like totally wants to marry you. What do you think? And that's how they present it. Like, literally, in the same meeting, they're like, we murdered your husband, and now a proposal. Yeah. And so then they wait, and they're, like, staring at her, and to their surprise, she, like, stops, and she goes, well, my husband ain't getting any deader. Yeah, absolutely. You tell your prince, I can't wait to marry him. Yes. The answer is yes. Oh, boy, I am ready. And so they're all like, wow, that was a lot easier than we thought it was going to be. She's like, why? My husband's already dead. Like, I gotta get back on the horse sometime, right? Yeah, like, tell your prince yes. However, let's make it like a big, like, official thing, okay? So tomorrow, go back to your boats tonight, all you 20 messengers, okay? Go back to your boats tonight, and tomorrow, like, I want you to come and we'll make it official. We'll give you all the stuff to take back and, and we can do like a whole procession for you. And they're like, okay. And so they go back to their boats and they wait. And she's also like, she makes the point to be like, also like, when my people come like tomorrow to fetch you, don't even like walk out on the ground. Literally tell them to carry the boats that you're in. Like, it's fine. And they're like, oh yeah, okay. And she's like, it's an honor thing. Like, we do this here. Don't worry. So they go back to their boats and they sleep. And then that night, nobody else sleeps. They go back and they get their beauty rest. And she orders a huge trench to be dug all night long. Just this giant trench with all of this dirt piled on the side. And the next morning, all the men are like sitting aside on their boats and they're like, can't wait to be taken to be given all these gifts. And the people of Kyiv run out, snatch them off their boats and drag them kicking and screaming to the trenches and then throw them all inside and then start to bury them alive. And as they're in there screaming and being buried alive and just like trying to get out and being like hit back into the trenches, Olga is standing on the side and she's like, so like, is this the answer you wanted? Are you happy with this? Do you feel properly honored? Because I feel great about this. And she's just fucking taunting them as 20 men are being buried alive. So then, that's only the first part of her plan.
I figured that they were gonna pick up the boats and then dump the boats into the trench.
No, they took them off the boats and then completely murdered them. I don't know. So she goes to her next step of her plan, which I think is amazing. So she sends word back to the Drevlians, and she's like, hey, thank you so much. I told the messengers to stay here, because, and I'm sending you out my thing, like, I accept, and I do want to travel to where you are to marry Prince Mal. I'm really excited about it. However, I'm going to need, like, a procession. I want, like, an honorific procession to take me back to where you are. So, if you can send, like, all of your chieftains here, then they can escort me back, and we can make this official. And Prince Mal is like, oh, yeah, cool,
totally,
man.
For sure.
Yeah, 100%. And so he sends all of his chieftains, the top tier, every person in any sort of, like, position is sent to go fetch her. And so she's like, thank you so much for coming. They march all the way. And then she goes, and all the people meet them and they celebrate with them. And they have like all these presents. Also, the people of Kyiv are like, they understand the assignment. They are acting their brains out. They're like, yeah, like, we're so happy you're here. Here's some flowers and like treats. Like, you're gonna love this. She's really pretty. Like, oh man, your guy is gonna be so happy with his new wife. Before you meet her, though, you guys need to take baths. And they're like, we do need to take baths. And they're like, yeah, right? Like, you gotta, like, clean yourself up. So they take him to the bathhouse. All of the chieftains get inside. And once they're all inside, they lock the doors and then they set it on fire. And Olga sits on the outside listening to them scream like, yeah, this is good for me. Mm-hmm. Loving this. Not quite ready to feel better about my husband's death, but this is really going a long way to making me feel better. And so now she's murdered all of his top tier chieftains. Like, there's nobody left. But she's not done yet.
No. Why would she be?
Because they ripped her 20-year-old husband in half. So, absolutely not.
Nope.
So then,
get him.
She sends a message to the Drevlians, and she says, okay, I'm coming. I want to have a giant, like, we're going back to the place where my husband was murdered. I told everybody I want to go with just my group, but you guys can meet me there. But we want to go back to the place where he was murdered because I want to have a feast and a funeral before I get remarried. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
The just decent thing. Yeah. And so they did. She's like, get all the mead you can. We're a people that drink a lot, so we're going to want to party. But, like, get everything you can. And so they're like, sure. So she travels there, and they actually do hold a funeral. She does get to grieve at the place where her husband was murdered. And then she's like, okay, well, let the funeral feast begin. And then all the Drevlians that show up get super fucking wasted. Her people are not drinking. Ooh. Everyone else is drinking like crazy. And once they're good and drunk, she looks around and she's like, all right, well, begin. And they slaughter everyone. They slaughter 5,000 people.
Holy shit.
Yep. I don't know if Prince Mal was part of this, and he might have been, but they actually don't mention Prince Mal again in any of the sources I've read. But she slaughters now 5,000 people on top of all the chieftains she's already murdered, on top of all the messengers that she's already murdered.
Holy shit.
She's not done yet, Max.
Scorched earth.
She 100%. Also, though, like, it's not classy to get super drunk at a funeral, so, like, you know, they're definitely willing to figure this out. Okay, but wait, there's more. I wrote that in all caps. So then she and her army go to every Drevlian village, and they demand tribute. She's like, hey, my husband came here to ask for tribute, so now we're fucking ready to get the tribute. Hand it over. And everybody is like, oh shit, yeah, 100%. And they start giving her furs and, like, wine and everything they have in their house. Like, she's just robbing them blind, basically. She's like, thanks, throw it on the back. And I'm sure that she would take that and burn it. Like, she doesn't want it.
No.
But, like, she's like, thanks. On to the next village. And so they do that. So they get to the capital city. The capital city is Iskoristan. And that's where they go back, I think, to where they had slaughtered those 5,000 people. Mm-hmm. And so now she's at the capital city and she's like, pay tribute. Now that we're back, we got everything else, pay tribute. And they're like, absolutely not. You slaughtered 5,000 of our people. And she's like, I don't care. Pay. And they won't do it. And so it starts a war, like a siege, like a huge battle happens. It lasts for an entire year. And she is burning fields. Now the people of this capital city are fucking starving to death. Like, nobody can survive. They're murdering people left and right. And the whole time she's like, this will stop when you pay tribute. That's what we want. Pay tribute. And they're like, no. And so finally, after a year, she gives them a statement and she's like, guys, do you love that this is happening? Like, I'm confused. Are you happy with it? What's going on? Because again, I've given you this will stop if you pay tribute. And they're like, we're afraid you're still mad at us. She's like, for what? And they're like, for murdering your husband. And she's like, all I want is for you to pay tribute. And they're like, no. And she's like, is that your final answer? And they're like, yeah. And she's like, okay, well, here. What if, I'm not mad, guys. I'm not mad at you. Like, I've satiated my need for blood revenge, okay? So, like, how about now? We want to get this over with. Instead of, like, gold and all your valuables, which you seem really attached to, every family gives me 3 pigeons and 3 sparrows. And they're like, that's it? She's like, yeah. Every household just gives me 3 pigeons and 3 sparrows. That's all I want. Not even your valuables. They're like, okay. So the people are like fucking pumped. They're like, oh, we got off easy. Yeah. And so every household gathers up 3 pigeons and 3 sparrows. Huge fucking trigger warning, guys.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So they get the 3 pigeons and 3 sparrows. Her army ties strings to their little ankles with cloth and sulfur, like, wrapped around the strings and stuff. And then at the same time, she waits until darkness falls, and she's looking at the town, and she looks at them, and she gives the order. She goes, do it. They light them all on fire, and they release the birds. All of the birds...
Oh my god!
All of the birds fly back to their nests in the city, because they have, like, their places they go. Meaning, at the same time, every part of the city bursts into flame. And it begins to burn the entire capital city. So... people obviously start to, like, run out. If they run, they are captured, slaughtered, or they are captured and turned into slaves. Like, that's it. She's like, I'm taking everyone. Whoever is left, which is a very small amount of people, she goes back up and she's like, pay tribute.
Ah! Oh my god!
She has ended the Drevlians.
Oh my
they are
god!
They are no longer a city.
Shit!
All right.
There's more.
And now her revenge saga is over.
Oh
but wait, didn't I say she was a Catholic saint?
Yeah.
Canonized in the fucking church?
Yeah.
Okay, I did. About 10 years after Igor's death, after she has already murdered
everyone.
This is
tens of thousands of people.
They should have made this instead of Taken. I'm not gonna lie. Like, this should have been the movie instead of Taken. So,
oh my god.
After this, Olga goes to Constantinople to meet with the Byzantine Emperor, Constantine VII, right? Mm-hmm. And as she's there, everybody there is Christian. She converts to Christianity and she's baptized. And she's like, oh, I really like this. Like, this fits with my bloodlust. And so she's, like, feeling pretty good about it. She goes back to Kyiv and she tries to bring Christianity with her, but nobody's taken it, right? But her son, Sviatoslav, He never converts, but he talks to his mom, and he's like, all right, well, if anybody wants to convert to Christianity, I'm not gonna, like, murder them for it. So, like, I guess, like, they have freedom of religion here. And so she ends up dying on July 11th, 940 something. I didn't write it down. But she ends up dying. And then afterwards, her grandson, Vladimir the Great, he converted to Christianity because of her influence. And under his reign, it spreads Christianity throughout, like, Russia and Ukraine and Belarus, like, where all those areas are now. That's why there's any Christianity, like, Orthodox religions at all. It's because of her. So, because of this, they are considered the founders of the Russian Orthodox Church. And she gets the Greek honorific title of Isapostolos in the Eastern Orthodox Church, and it means equal to the apostles. Only 5 women were given that title. They say, like, you are equal to the apostles. Praise be, she murdered so many people.
She just had a conversation with a king.
Yeah. And I was
after murdering tens of thousands of people.
She is literally the saint of revenge. That is her patron saint of vengeance. And I'm like, that doesn't seem like it should be a saintly thing.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So that is Saint Olga of Kyiv, the patron saint of revenge and vengeance. And honestly, I love her so much. Oh boy, did she murder everyone. Don't rip people's husbands in half is like the big old thing. So I have some pictures for you to see.
Please don't.
Pictures of Olga. So she was also called Olga the Beautiful.
Oh.
So here are some, like, depictions of her. But my favorite is Olga on the Millennium of Russia is a huge monument that shows a bunch of saints. And in the middle of it is her holding, like a Orthodox cross. And she's using another saint's head as, like, an elbow rest. Like a fucking badass.
Wild.
Yeah.
This one is her... It looks like it might be a stained glass. And they gave her, first of all, the ugliest face I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But also, she is in the middle of a city. And the city is, like, around her. Like, the walls of the city are around her. And she is, like, 700 feet tall, standing in the middle of the city.
With her head in, like, the sun.
Yeah. She's just, like, stomping on buildings Godzilla style.
I will
is
also
what's
say
happening in this picture.
The symbols on her dress, I'm going to put this on our Instagram, but the symbols on her dress look like the radioactive symbols.
They do.
Like
she's Godzilla.
She's Godzilla. Like, she's there to fucking take it down.
Saint Godzilla of vengeance.
So, that's Olga of Kyiv. Now, with this, because we are talking about Ukraine, and we're talking about Russia, like, these modern day areas, it's impossible to do that without talking about the conflict that is happening now, which I'm not going to go into this because, again, I feel like this is so nuanced that I'm not going to be able to properly do that. But I can tell you some resources if you want to help Ukrainian people right now who are being displaced. So I got most of this from a Vox article, which I will put in the show notes. But basically, right now, Ukrainian people are fleeing. Some Ukrainian people are being forced to flee. Many of them are mothers and children and just people who cannot stay and fight. And so countries around the Ukraine are opening their borders, including Poland. And so you can help those countries if you have money to donate. That's a big thing you can do, is literally just send money to provide aid for those countries who are taking on thousands, and it could be in the millions by the time this is done. Like, they could have millions of people now in their countries. And so they said that they can host, they need money to feed, house, and assist the refugees. So there's the Polish Humanitarian Action, the Polish Association for Legal Intervention, so that's for refugee rights, which is huge. Also the Polish Center for International Aid. Those are just 3 of the things that the Vox article put in, and I'll put those in, but there's a lot of them. There's also things you can donate to for opposition press in Russia. So now we're going into the fact that the Russian media specifically is stifling people's, like, information because they know that they're wrong. They know this is fucked up. And so they are literally making it so that Russian people don't know exactly what's happening. From what I can hear as of now, most of Russia, like the Russian people, have not been informed of how many deaths there actually have been because the media is reporting that they have lost no soldiers in this conflict. They're like, Actually, yeah, we haven't lost a single soldier. There are no death. There's over 3,000 Russian soldiers who have died. Their families have not been informed, and everybody's being told that the Ukrainian people are out on the streets and welcoming them with open arms because they're so happy Russia's there. And so you can actually help news stations who aren't under Putin's regime, and you can fund them to be able to put out the actual footage of the conflicts and the fights and the Ukrainian people who are out there fighting on the front lines. And because again, this isn't a war, the Russian people, a lot of the Russian people are also innocent bystanders who are losing family members and did not ask for this and should be informed. They also help support protests that are breaking out in Russia. So one of those is called Meduza, which is fantastic.
Love it.
It's a Russian online newspaper and news aggregator, and OVD Info, Russian Human Rights Services. So again, I'll put those in there. And then also in a month, when we stop covering this on the 24-hour news cycle, call your legislators to make sure that they are still keeping this in mind. Because right now, the US and the EU are both doing a really good job of being we're putting sanctions on Russia. We are trying to economically attack them to get them to stop this. And right now it's easy to do because the news is covering this like crazy, but in a month we probably won't be getting as much coverage. So you can call your legislators to make sure that this doesn't end just because people are starting to forget. You can urge them to fund reconstruction in Ukraine if it's victorious, and then if Russia is still occupying the country in a month or a year or whatever, then they need to run resettlement and aid for millions of people that have been displaced. So we can help with that, but you have to make sure that they don't forget. So with all that, I'm putting that in the show notes. You can read the Vox article, you can do your own research, but just keep it in mind. Yep. And everybody, if you want to channel the absolute petty revenge strategies of Saint Olga, patron saint of vengeance of Kiev, then absolutely do that.
Love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And guys, that was sort of the story.
That was sort of the story.
I want an Olga tattoo. I'm going to be thinking about her forever. Ever.
Yeah. Wild. Love it. All right.
I wonder if my parents who are deeply Catholic would be happy about that, or if they'd be like, oh no! Somehow you snuck feminism into this. Don't rip people's husbands in half. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, let's do a test. Ew, with a lot of spoon sounds.
ASMR, you're drinking tea.
Oh,
Loudly.
Welcome to our very loud tea shop. Oh my god, that tea is so hot. Did you put something spicy in that tea? Because it's hot. Classic very calming tea shop sounds.
Tea shop full of ogre sounds.
My daughter's pregnant.
I eat rocks.
Congratulations.
I don't know why I say that. We all eat rocks. I'm not special.
You over here just bragging about eating rocks when my family hasn't been able to find a rock in days. We're over here eating squirrels like animals.
You know how animals eat squirrels? They do.
They classic animals. All right, well.
Is it tested?
I think we might have tested it.